it says we are going live. And I wonder immediately about the sound that we have. Gonna pump out the chat, probably just for you. How to do it? I think it's impossible for me. Okay, I'll just play the chat later on. So guys, I'll just wait for 1 minute maybe for us to get along, and later on I'll tell you what's like the latest news. I'm not planning to film the video today. Actually, my idea is to film the streams every Sunday. Now I'm here with you until the rain comes, so I can already see the clouds coming. And if I get wet and all of my laptop and everything, I will be forced to end the stream very soon. But first, guys, happy Easter. And it seems like we have some people here, so let's start. Yeah, good. We have people here. So guys, just what is happening with the ceasefire and with everything? As you probably know, like from the very, very beginning, let's go maybe 3 months ago, or maybe to the last year, then Donald Trump promised to finish the war in 24 hours. And he was so determined in that. But we understand that it is not possible to achieve. Now we already understand that, and by the time we already understood, like if you are the viewer of my channel, you understand that. However, somehow Donald Trump is so determined that he is able to negotiate with Putin and Zelensky that he continued to push for the ceasefire. At first he said like the war to end, but now he said about at least ceasefire. And then he became a president. It was his promise during the election campaign, and he started to blame somehow Ukrainian side for even starting the war. And we see how he returns to that rhetorics. Like the last week, I think he returned to that as well. There were some of the rumors about new sanctions which could be applied in Russia, but now we also understand that no, United States is going to be just, fellows with Russia. They're voting for anti-Ukrainian resolutions, let's say in United Nations even. And I don't see any pressing from Donald Trump on Russia. Absolutely none. He may say sometimes that he dissatisfied with the Russian strikes on Ukraine. That's it. He doesn't tell anything else, even though there were many of the talks between Putin already and Donald Trump by phone, at least 3 as far as I remember, and 3 times Witkov, who has any background of negotiating or something, who is not even the official person, just a friend, Trump's friend, golf partner, but he knows Trump for 40 years, so he is there going to Moscow to negotiate with Putin, which is very strange, don't you find so? And he praises Russia. After those meetings with Putin, he's encouraged. He says, we're gonna earn, like I'm sure he says like that we're gonna earn billions together with Putin, because he's just a real estate tycoon or someone like that. He's not an official government figure, and government needs and business needs are different. For example, like you cannot negotiate with Hamas because they are fanatics. Yes, they need money. They do some trafficking. They got support from Iran. But after all, they are fanatics. So you cannot negotiate judging on just economy values. That is what Donald Trump tried to do with Kim Jong-un, with North Korean leader. Then he told Kim Jong-un, okay, you're going to build a wonderful country. Like he said also about Gaza Strip, right? Gold statues. beautiful hotels, resorts. So he told similar stuff to North Korean leader during his first term. But Kim Jong-un doesn't need that. He has his own power. He doesn't need his people to live good, prosperous life. He doesn't need investments. He is okay with everything. He just wants to expand and influence the world. That is what Putin's ideas are. That is what Putin needs and wants. That's why Putin started the war in Ukraine. And he's not willing to end it anytime soon. And this story with a ceasefire actually showed that clearly. So just pushing Ukraine doesn't work. You also need to push Russia in this case. However, we don't see any sort of the movement from Trump's administration or Donald Trump himself to push Russia. Zelensky was the same guy. He got the similar ideas as Donald Trump. Then he was elected. He thought that, okay, it was, Poroshenko's idea to continue the war. Now we're going to negotiate with Putin. I'm going to meet with him. And he really met with Putin. There was Merkel. Oh, sorry, not the Merkel, but new president. Yes, it was Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, and President of France, Emmanuel Macron. They met all together with Putin, and Zelensky spoke with Putin, and they decided to exchange prisoners of war, decided to stop shooting on the front lines, but everything of that was not implemented. Zelensky himself went to the front lines, to Ukrainian front lines. He spoke with Ukrainian soldiers. He told them, stop shooting, just stop shooting and the war is going to be over. But later on, Putin told, the fight continues. Ceasefire was not implemented. There was no exchange of prisoners of war or just limited exchange, even though they agreed on a total exchange. And Zelensky called Putin at least 2 of the times and said, we need to stop the war. We need to exchange the prisoners of war. We need to stop shooting. And every time Putin said like, yes, 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 okay, we're gonna do it. Yes, 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 okay, we're gonna do it. And later on, he just stopped picking up the phone. It was not interesting for him. And that time, Zelensky realized that Putin is going, to continue the war. That's it. Zelensky told about it in the interview openly, in many of the interviews. And he said that Donald Trump goes with the same problem, with the same fake perception of Putin. He thinks that Putin wants peace. Somehow Putin told that stuff to Witkoff, and Witkoff believed that, and he eagerly shared those messages to Donald Trump. And they're more like this, the company of Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump Jr., Witkoff, I think, in the same company, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump, I guess, himself. So I do not expect anything good from Donald Trump's administration. And now, with this fake ceasefire, Putin wants to show Donald Trump that he really wants the peace, that he's the negotiating figure. And come on, I want peace. Here's your ceasefire for 30 hours. But I think Putin was played by Zelensky this time, because Zelensky told that we're going to extend ceasefire if needed for 30 more days, because 30 hours is not enough. It's just for titles in the newspapers. And I think, it was the message just to one person, to Donald Trump, that Russia is ready for peace. But today, this morning, we have the reports that definitely the fights intensified. So the last night, the night was calm, more or less. There were some fighting in the Belgorod Oblast, in Kursk, so it seems like Putin's ceasefire doesn't apply on that. But this morning from 10 a.m., the fights intensified, especially in Kherson direction, partially in Pokrovsk, in Kharkiv Oblast as well. Russians are using the ceasefire to move their forces closer to the front lines, and also they're picking up their wounded and KA personnel from the gray zone. Actually, Ukraine does the same, from what I understood. But Russia prepares for something bigger, because our guys, our commanders, especially in the Kharkiv region, they say that Russia pulls more of the equipment, more of the artillery. They fly with surveillance drones, so they're getting ready for something. So they use this ceasefire for their military advantage over Ukraine, and we can clearly see it. Also, there was some shooting, like the Shahid drones were not used for the last night, but Russia used the gliding bombs, and it happened like they hit, I think, some building in Kherson region, and it was done 1 hour before the ceasefire, official ceasefire announced by Russia. And yeah, that's their ceasefire. And Putin, just recent news I received couple of hours ago, then I was in the taxi, that Peskov said that Russia is not going to extend the ceasefire they announced for 30 days or something like that. And the Ukrainian officials, they say, what's about the Eastern truce or ceasefire? We haven't heard the answer on from Moscow side about the extension of it for the next 30 days. Well, yeah, officially Peskov said that Russia will not do it already, officially. And I think it was the plan, like to show to Donald Trump that Russia is ready for peace, but in fact not, and to cause some of the hope among the part of the Ukrainian society, because not all of the Ukrainian people are solid. There are some of the opposition forces, and sometimes, as I told in my latest video, they share pro-Russian narratives. Some politicians use this Russian propaganda, and unlike what Tucker Carlson says about Ukraine, that the Ukraine blocks everyone, no, actually people spread those pro-Russian narratives still. Some of the influencers, even some of the media sources, and they just say, oh, Putin announced the ceasefire, so Zelensky should agree on that. Yeah, Zelensky agreed. He has actually no other choice. Ukrainian policy is to agree on everything. We are for peace, and that's the good policy. Actually, moreover, Zelensky rose the stakes, telling that it should be extended for 30 days. But you know, some people in Ukraine, like minority, they start to blame Zelensky for something. But it's only because of those influencers, which are playing not a good game. They just want to get rid of Zelensky to get in power. That's so-called opposition. It's not the real opposition, it's so-called opposition. I also have some questions towards Zelensky, but here I support him. And since Donald Trump started to play dirty games against Zelensky, then he stated that Zelensky got 4%, that Zelensky should announce some elections. I started to support Zelensky after it, even though before I wasn't really a supporter of his. But now I see that if Putin is against him, if Donald Trump is against him, it means that he does a really good job if those guys are against him. So truce, ceasefire will finish tomorrow morning. I think it's already been finished, since there are some of the clashes on the front lines, less than usual, but still. I have some of the videos from that, but today I'm not going to film like my regular video. It's going to be just a live stream. So I saw many of the videos how Russians are sending their reinforcements. It's already been confirmed by Ukrainian surveillance drones, which are flying near the gray area. And Ukraine, because Zelensky ordered to ceasefire, our guys cannot hit the Russian infantry forces, Russian vehicles, Russian artillery for now. But Russia, sometimes they strike Ukrainian guys. In some of the spots, very rarely, but it is happening. It is happening, guys. So I do not expect the extension of the ceasefire. I expect that the war will continue, because Putin feels absolutely comfortable in this war. His objective is just to negotiate actually with Donald Trump, to show that he's ready for peace and to blame Ukraine. So this morning and this afternoon I also monitored the Russian channels, their official propaganda, Russian military bloggers. Yeah, Russian military bloggers actually mainly they say that it's just a fake. They say themselves that it's just a fake ceasefire. It is done just to blame Ukrainian side, but they say that like it is good for us. It is good for us. We're gonna blame Ukraine. This policy is good for Putin. The part of the Z community, they didn't understand why they need the ceasefire, because they are pro-war and they want to take all of the Ukrainian territories. So they were a little disappointed. And official channels, they say that Ukrainian side violates the ceasefire. That's it. So Ukrainian channels say that Russia violates the ceasefire. Russian channels say that Ukraine violates the ceasefire. Absolutely the same talks that were happening during the Minsk agreements. Then ceasefire was agreed, but there were blames from each side. Ukraine and Russia, they blamed each other. So yeah, tomorrow we're gonna see many more losses for Russia. Probably they're gonna concentrate a lot of the forces for the future strike, because in the same meeting then Putin announced the ceasefire. Gerasimov reported about 11 of the offensive operations that Russia conducts along the front lines. And do you think that they're gonna stop it? It's not possible. And actually the ceasefire wasn't possible from the very beginning, because you need time to coordinate the efforts to stop your own army. How can you announce ceasefire 1 hour and 40 minutes before it? Like in the 1 hour and 40 minutes we're gonna stop all of our soldiers? It's physically impossible. And also for Ukraine it's not possible. You need to have meetings, you need to analyze the front lines, the situation really. Some of your forces might go like walking. Soldiers sometimes they walk, and they walk for many kilometers. How can you call them to stop? So it is crazy, like what is happening. It is wasn't really possible to initiate this ceasefire fully, and it wasn't initiated. We experienced just weakening of the fights. Yes, no Shahed drones, because it's easy to conduct, like not to launch the Shahed drones is okay, but to stop the entire armies who clashed between each other for 3 years, no, it's not possible. And also, guys, before, in 2022, Putin announced how he called it a Christmas ceasefire. And later on, he also announced some other ceasefire, but it was never implemented in real life. Just today, then, everyone is speaking about the ceasefire. We have it like very close attention to that. But before, it was all fake. So it's the third time, actually, that Putin announced that stuff. Yeah, he announced that in particular spots, and now he told about the full front lines in Ukraine. But the story tells that we shouldn't trust Putin. He is not a trusted person, and Zelensky's experience actually tells us a lot about Putin and how to negotiate with him. He's not negotiating person, not negotiable, it's better to say in English. And yeah, tomorrow we're gonna see more of the front line reports, many more of the videos from the front lines. Again, Russian big convoys, crazy motorcycle attacks and so on. So for today, those are less than usual, but for tomorrow, yeah, we're gonna see them, unfortunately, guys. Actually, ceasefire could be profitable for Ukraine, because after all, Ukraine has less resources compared to the Russian Federation, and not losing our guys is also very important. So ceasefire is always good, but it is unachievable. And Donald Trump, by the way, he wants to achieve just ceasefire. He's not interested in lasting peace, as he says. Now they switch to the ceasefire. And for Donald Trump, the ceasefire could last for 4 more years, and then he's not a president, hopefully. The ceasefire may stop and the war may start once again, and he will be fine with that. He would just put it as his local victory, like, I achieved the ceasefire. But what's about the lasting peace? What's about the guarantees for Ukraine from the United States of America? Because some of the guys, they say that America is not obligated to support you, Ukraine, but actually no. America was the country which insisted for Ukraine to give up the nukes. Number one country which insisted. UK was more or less okay with it. Russia, it was busy and it just agreed. By the time they didn't want to start the war with Yeltsin, at least. And the country which pushed Ukraine really hard to give up nukes was the United States of America. We signed the paper. You may call it memorandum, but still it's the document. There were presidents, Clinton, there was the Prime Minister of UK, there was Yeltsin, there was President of Ukraine by the time, Kravchuk. Everybody signed the documents that Ukraine should never be attacked if it gives up its nukes, and people will coordinate, like the countries, the major countries which signed the memorandum should coordinate the efforts to protect Ukraine. But no, nothing happened, and here we are not even telling about deploying the foreign forces to Ukraine. Like, we don't need the troops of the United States of America, just give us weaponry. It is not happening. And now America is taking Russian side, which is crazy. Don't you find? And how can we trust, how anyone could trust United States of America from now on? They'll trust just their nukes, and they'll try to get the nukes. Like, it is understandable that no security guarantees are valid. If you want to have the partner, and the partner United States of America, to protect you, the country with the biggest army, and they share the democratic values, they will not protect you after all. And I think Asian countries understand that, European countries already understood that. So with Donald Trump, everything is very complicated. Even without Donald Trump, I would say. Joe Biden was also very, very slow in giving Ukraine some of the military help. Remember the story with the ATACMS, and it's funny that Ukraine obtained not funny, but sad, that Ukraine obtained just 30 with something Abrams tanks from United States, and they have lots of those tanks in their storages. It is also sad that Ukraine haven't obtained enough Patriots to protect its skies. Just give us, weaponry for defense. Joe Biden was, okay, we're gonna give how many Patriots they gave? 1, 2? Quite sad start of the stream, but nevertheless, guys, I wanted to start this live stream from this monologue, and now I'm gonna answer your questions or your comments or whatever you do. By the way, we have probably super chat active. If you want your comment to pump out, you may go for super chat for me to see your comment, and that's how you also support this channel. Still have clouds coming, hopefully no rain, but I think it will start, and I'll have to finish the stream right away. Russia got annihilated. In many of the areas, yes. Ukraine somehow will stop Russia even without the huge support from our allies. There was the support, but it was never enough. And is never enough. But somehow Ukrainians, they do have the spirit, and Putin didn't expect that stuff, and Ukraine really fights hard for its land. Putin was shocked in 2022, and he is still. And he changed his strategy to conduct this long-term offensive, long-term war. He is quite comfortable with that, unfortunately, but his economy is not. And if that continues, if the war continues for many more months and years, maybe 2 more years, the Russian economy would collapse. I do not expect it to collapse this year, but maybe in 2 years we're going to see a large recession in Russia, because Russia is printing their rubles. Russian military production loans lots of the funds from the Russian banks, and they just bring the money. Also, we see how the global recession has already, I would say, started with Donald Trump and his policy for the tariffs, which he implemented. How the oil prices, they go down after all. they went down, and for Russia it's kind of not good, I would say, for their economy. Their economy is sick, and if that continues for long, Putin will not be able to pay for his army, for his soldiers, those millions of rubles. He'll be out of money to continue the war and his military production. But for this year, they have big plans actually, and they already spent tens of billions of dollars for their military budget, unfortunately. For this year, they plan lots of the fights. So with the ceasefire, it was just a small move, small move to show Donald Trump something. So far, by the way, we don't have the real reaction from Donald Trump. I thought he would comment on that yesterday, write something on Truth Social, but we don't have anything. Some of the White House officials, they say that we hope that the ceasefire will continue, but yeah, not really. Yeah, not really any move from Russia. That's the Russian evacuation group out there. They evacuate their bodies from the gray zone. They use the ceasefire, but also they move their forces more to the gray zone as well. You're the one in here just for Trump to blame Ukraine. Yeah, I think Trump would gladly blame Ukraine. But, we have the move from Zelensky, and he rises the stakes for extension, so how can you blame Zelensky for it? Now if Putin would restart attacks, he is the one to blame. But for Donald Trump, I think it doesn't really matter. We boycott them. Yeah, I saw that today there were many of the protests, again, in the United States of America. Many people were in the streets. It's good, guys, that you do there. How are you dealing with the annoying bots on your channel? Annoying bots on my channel. Strange. I cannot control the bots on the channel, sorry. I don't have like moderators here or something. Sometimes I block people if I randomly read the comment. Then I post the video. We have lots of the sex bots somehow, and I ban them like in a few minutes. But if they go again, I definitely don't have the time to check out all of the comment section, because there are hundreds and sometimes even thousands of comments. Depends on the video performance. Flores, thank you so much for your support. So sorry about the bots, it's the usual stuff. It's not just for my channel. You can check out every kind of the more or less big channels about gaming, about lifestyle, about the war in Ukraine. Everybody has lots of the bots. It's the YouTube failed algorithms to control the bot activity. And because of the bots, actually I have like the problems with monetization on the channel. I still have the issue of invalid traffic. So YouTube sees activity from the bots as something that I did for fake views or something, and it just drops monetization by a huge amount. And yes, sometimes I can like block right away some. Geroyam Slava. So guys, let me tell us in the comments, what do you think about the ceasefire? Why was it down? Because I share my own opinion. Maybe I'm not right, but judging on the story, on the history, maybe you know something better. Do you think Europe will step up military help to Ukraine and eventually replace the United States? It depends on future moves of Donald Trump. Now, for the last week, we see how they want to abandon Ukraine. At first, Donald Trump said that, okay, it's the Biden's war, and Zelensky with Biden, they, in a way, started it. He said that you shouldn't start the war against the country which is 20 times bigger than you. He applied to Zelensky, which is very strange, because Russia started this war. It is it is understandable for everyone, probably except Donald Trump. It was unprovoked war. Ukraine wasn't even gathering the forces near the Russian border, and Russia started the full-scale war against Ukraine. But actually, they started from the occupation of Crimea in 2014. So Donald Trump understood that he is unable to negotiate with Putin, and he now calls this war a Biden's war and Zelensky's war, and he also tells that if he is unable to negotiate, they'll just leave everything and actually abandon Ukraine, and they're gonna wait. Then the sides will be ready for negotiations to apply to them. Why do we need here United States of America really to apply them to negotiate us or something? So this move would be absolutely profitable for Russia, because if United States abandons Ukraine, it means that Ukraine would not have any sort of the military support. Also, there could be no maintenance for Bradleys, for Abrams, for other weaponry like Heimers and so on. There could be no weapons coming to maintain even air defense systems like Patriot missiles, for example. Also, if we speak widely, United States could block European weaponry for Ukraine, for example, as they did with Storm Shadow. So United Kingdom and France had to negotiate with the United States at first to send weaponry to Ukraine, like Storm Shadow, because there are some of the United States made components in those missiles. So yeah, it's kind of bad actually. Also, the most important thing is intelligence data, which United States has already blocked once, likely renewed. So there could be very terrible steps for Ukraine, and actually, yeah, it's very profitable for Russia after all. And yeah, guys, I forgot to tell you, Happy Easter to everyone. It was a great night for Christians around the world. We have a joint celebration between Orthodox Christians and Christians from other confessions, from Catholics, I guess, Protestants. I also think so. So it was the very, very great day for Christian community. Trump is having the worst first 100 days in the as a modern United States president. Hope you are well, Denys. Yeah, I'm good. We're on a short Easter vacation with the family. And tomorrow I'm gonna go. I negotiated to film the review of one of the airplane. It's the small one, French made. It's called Elixir. It's for my other channel. I'm gonna make a review. So I'm going to Atlantic Ocean tomorrow to film that airplane, because we agreed with the company. Gonna fly it also, and it's gonna be some interesting video I'm gonna post on my aviation channel, because after all, yeah, I started my full-time job as a YouTuber from aviation, and I want to continue it. So I have I negotiated well before. I have some of the obligations, so I'm gonna go there, and for 2 or 3 more days, or maybe 4 days, you'll see me from the hotel, not from my studio. They are not paying for this kind of integration. It's just my idea, I want to test that airplane, Elixir. It's the airplane, 2-seater, small one, for training purposes. The idea that it is made out of carbon fiber, it's very light, but at the same time it's expensive. Want to check out the recent news. It seems like we don't have rain yet, so we can stream. I expected to stream like 1 hour. We're gonna see, maybe more. Okay, North report says that Russia is using the Easter truce to amass troops in the Kharkiv direction, according to the media citing Kharkiv press service. There is a high probability they plan to use this as pretext to resume active assaults. So as I've told you, I also have the information, that Russia reinforces the troops from the Kharkiv direction, indeed. Oh, Mike Kebro, thank you so much for your generosity, for your great support of the channel. Thank you, Denys Davydov, Geroyam Slava, and thank you again for your great support of the channel. And Denys, don't worry about your schedule too much. As long as we get a video, we're happy. Hope you and families are okay, yeah? Don't let that bootlicker Trump speak for the United States of America. We stand with Ukraine. Dark Hallway, thank you so much for your generosity, for your kind support. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And I'm so happy, guys, that we have so many sane people on the channel who do not support what Trump is doing, not just to Ukraine, but to his own country. Like, how can you not see what is happening? And I'm very, very happy that, some of the people unsubscribe from me, but it's tiny little percent, like maybe, I think less than percent, less. Yeah. Sometimes I have like -20 per day, then I speak strong words about Donald Trump, -20 subscribers, and then I start to speak about this idiot. I go to like -2,000 or -3,000, but those numbers are very small compared to what we have on the channel. I understand that not all of my subscribers are active. For now, we have, from all of the 870,000 subscribers, we have maybe 300,000 active subscribers, so the true number is 300,000. The rest, well, they subscribed some day, maybe several years ago. Then I started to speak about the war in Ukraine, and they do not watch me any longer because they have their own duty, like they're busy, and they are not interested about Ukraine any longer, because this war, it takes years to analyze, to watch my videos every day. It's crazy, actually. So I'm very glad. I respect you that you spend the time watching my updates, and still we have like at least 100 with something thousand views, 200 with something thousand views. Yes, those are much less compared to what it was in 2023, but it's fine. It's normal. Like, people are less interested about it. And I just hope that someday I'm gonna stop talking about the war in Ukraine. I hope it will be over, and maybe I'm gonna speak about something else, maybe about general news and something. I'll always have something to speak about, because there's lots of the trash coming and happening around the world, especially about Donald Trump and something. Then I took the interview of Jake Bro, or it's better to say my podcast. He told me that he also wants to stop speaking about the war in Ukraine someday. We all want it to be over, and he would concentrate maybe on the United States politic topics, because of the trash happening there. And I believe, since he's American, he has absolute right to do it, and he knows way better than me. So he would like to speak just about that. Trump is pushing America to civil war, and many Trump supporters will never see it coming. Oh, James, I will have one of American congressmen on my podcast. It's gonna be tomorrow. Actually, we're gonna film the video with one of the congressmen. He's from the Democratic Party. And I'm gonna ask that question about possible civil war in the United States. Is it really possible? Like, maybe you guys in America, you have more information. I don't want it to happen. Like, it would be a devastator for democracy around the world. And thank you so much for your kind support, James. Thank you. Let Locker Production. Denys, your videos are a source of knowledge, inspiration to myself, and I'm sure many others. I'm visiting you. I'm wishing you a peaceful sky and have a great time. Sorry, my laptop is really far away and my vision, it dropped. So thank you so much for the support and for this high mark, really, for me. I have the high mark for you, for my best audience out there, and you have high marks for me. Thank you. BK Barth, history will not be kind to Republicans. Appeasement. I think there are some of the good Republicans as well. I think so. Not all of them are MAGA or Trump supporters. Even MAGA, sometimes they support Ukraine. But there are some of the sane Republicans. However, they're just minority. MAGA just occupied. Oh, we have some of the police, ambulance here all the day. Sorry, I decided to film outside. By the way, judging on my clothes, you may understand my location. What does that even mean? Not Republican, but you can say that just... Betsy, hi. Betsy is always there. On my streams, on my videos, first one to the comment, Betsy, thank you so much. Your channel Jakes are currently the only ones I watch daily. I hope too that both of you can have different content that the war in the future. Yeah, but for now I'm just thankful for you, what you do. Thank you, MA. Thank you for supporting me and supporting Jake also. Thank you so much. Can you tell us more about Ukrainian politics, but unrelated to the war? Like, there is the mono party now in the parliament. It's Zelensky's party, so I think he has majority of the votes. Yeah, he definitely has. He controls everything for now, but there is some sort of the opposition, like the previous president, like Tymoshenko. There were this long-lasting oligarchs, and they drank lots of the blood from Ukraine. Even though I voted for Poroshenko because I thought that Zelensky is not that competent, but now I see that he's more competent than Poroshenko because of the stuff Poroshenko is doing. It's sometimes just cringe, as well as Tymoshenko and some people from their parties, from Tymoshenko, Poroshenko, they support pro-Russian narratives, which I don't really like. So if there are elections, I would not vote for them. Is it something happened? Why there are so many sirens? Sorry guys for annoying sirens. Happy Easter. How have you been lately? How's the vacation? Just a short vacation. But we plan some bigger vacation during the school holidays. Russell, thank you so much for your kind support. We the British will always stand by Ukraine, Slava Ukraine. Thank you so much, Russell. Thank you for your generosity. We love UK also. It's our greatest ally. I remember how I was, in Sevastopol. It's my hometown, and they have this diorama dedicated to the war between Russian Empire and France, UK, and probably Turkey. Yeah. Then they started the war. Then they entered Sevastopol, and actually they were the winners, taking the Russian territories with the Sevastopol city itself. If you know the song Trooper from Iron Maiden, that describes the events a little. So you guys were fighting against Russia for a very, very long time. So now it's like impossible to do, really, because Russia has nukes. But the history shows that all of the world, like all of the neighbors, were always against Russia, because Russia behaves like that. Russia tries to conquer more and more territories. The war in Caucasus lasted for 200 years or maybe even more, and still there are some of the clashes, I would say. Actually, I think that Russia would start to collapse itself from Northern Caucasus, I think from Chechnya, Dagestan, somewhere in that area, because they're totally different. Crimean War, yeah, it was a Crimean War, and Allies actually, yeah, with the heavy losses, but they were successful pushing the Russian Empire away. By that time, Ukraine was the part of the Russian Empire. And if we go to the history, Ukraine was actually the Cossack state, without really fixed borders, I would say, but there were always the territories within this state. There were many fights between Poland and Ukraine, and after all, there was the resolution signed between Cossacks for them to go to under the cover of the Russian Empire, but Russia just annihilated Cossacks later on, and like Catherine II did it, and she deported or moved Cossacks to the Northern Caucasus. Actually, that is where my dad from the Cossack family. So originally they're Ukrainians, but were deported there to Russia, and they're now called Russians. So identity was completely lost, and our guys were forced actually to fight for Russia in all of the wars. Under Peter the Great in Russia there was, and later on in Russia you had to sign the contract. It was mandatory for 25 freaking years to fight for Russian Empire, and they had many of the wars. Russia-Turk War, Russian, like I already mentioned, Crimea and Sweden, and many, many wars. The history shows that, yeah, we were like, those slaves for 300 years in Russia. And finally, then we got our independence. After 30 years, Putin decided to start the war. Less than 30 years. 24 years. All dictators have the same ending: supporting USA and expel the greed and ultimately take away the blessing. Andrew Perpetua says that the geography, force, etc. between Sumi and Kursk take it difficult to invade Sumi away from the main road. Do you think this area can confirm? There are some regions with there are no swamps, like in Zhytomyr Oblast, for example. I don't think that it's really that difficult, but there are many of the forest spots and forest lines, so yeah, it could be in a way more difficult for Russia to advance to Sumy Oblast. Maybe that's why they're choosing Kharkiv Oblast, after all. Damn, how many of those ambulances are there? It is crazy. It was a really bad idea to record the video here, or maybe they have some, big crash, or what else? Road crash. It's crazy. Do you see a military solution? Guys, I want to tell you something. This war goes to the stage that some side should lose it. Whether it's Russia or Ukraine. I hope it will be Russia. There is no other solution. No temporary peace, no negotiation. It is not possible at this stage. The war, I hope, will end with withdrawal of the Russian forces, like it was in Afghanistan, after maybe death of Vladimir Putin. And after that, I hope the destiny for Russia will be the same as for the Soviet Union. I expect that ending. So like Afghan war was that, one of the reasons for the Soviet Union to collapse, so Ukraine will be for Russia to collapse. I'm almost sure in this scenario, but at this stage, like, the war will not end with negotiations. Some say that war always ends with negotiations, but I don't agree with that. Always good to see you, Denys. As a Dutchman will always stand with Ukraine. Thank you. Greetings to Netherlands. Legi Rup. Thank you so much. Heimers for Ukraine. Yeah, we have also not many Heimers actually in the Ukrainian army, but even they were able to change at some moments the situation on the front lines. Then Russia had to move their supply lines and their hubs and their control centers further away from the front lines, and they had communication issues because of the Ukrainian Heimers. They had actually many of the problems caused by Heimers, so even few of the systems were enough to stop the very close Russian communication. And remember, there was the time then Russia started to lose lots of the officials, officers, their commanders, even generals on the front lines. That was because of the Heimers. They were not expecting that Ukraine may strike that powerful and that far away from the front lines. So they had to change everything. That worsened their condition, communication. But on the other hand, Russia learned on JDAMs, gliding aviation bombs, which Ukraine obtained, and they modified their own Soviet-made bombs for them to glide further away. And they are very devastating. They are not such precise as JDAMs, but they are very big. And for them, it doesn't care if they land like a few hundred meters away or precisely. It would just destroy everything. And they have many of those bombs, and they use lots of those bombs. So I would say for Ukraine, it was the game changer to use Heimers at some point, but now it's not the critical game changer any longer. It just, adds more tools to Ukrainian army for putting Russian soldiers hub centers. But for Russia now, still currently they have this game changer are those Soviet-made bombs with the gliding units. So gliding bombs for Russia, they're really pain in the ass for Ukrainian army. And also, by the way, Lancet drones, because Ukraine, we have some of the drones like Lancet, similar to those, but with much shorter range. And Russians just bought the technology. I think they didn't steal the technology, they bought it from Israel. Those are Israeli actually drones. And they started the massive production, and really Lancet drones, they still play a good song for Russia. I monitor, as I told you, the Russian channels, and they share the videos of their Lancets and how they finished Ukrainian and vehicles. And by the way, maybe a couple of days ago, maybe I'm also going to show it in my next update tomorrow, that Russians hit Heimers actually. Once again, it was the Heimers vehicle. Not sure with that resolution, but it looked like Heimers. Andrew Green, thank you so much for your support. Russian losses worse because of the new Ukrainian drones. Ukraine just has lots of the drones. That's why Russians have tremendous losses. So Ukraine continue to use lots of the FPV drones on the front lines, and our operators, they're, I would say, more effective compared to Russians after all. But Russia uses more fiber optic drones. It is impossible to intercept those. But fiber optic drones, in a way, they're limited compared to the usual drones. They cannot maneuver that good. X-Files Incorporated, thank you for your high mark, and Geroyam Slava. Sorry guys, I'll put on the jacket because it's very cold already. Yeah, the weather was fine at the afternoon, but now it's a game of drones from Big Mac. The Drone Pilot, really cool war game. I'll check it out. I like gaming. Hanjan, I'll try to remember the name. Game of Thrones. All right. I played like two of the games, Death from Above, and I don't know the other one. We have a drone flying here. I'm in a very calm place, like a little outside of the city, but I heard the drone. Interesting. Are you planning to move back to Ukraine after the war ends? Depends. I hope. James, thank you again for your great support. It's not my wish that there will be the conflict in America, but the way Trump has destroyed the rule of law in America, it may just happen sadly. This would make Russia happy. Yeah. There is the probability for everything. The moves of Donald Trump are crazy, especially how he opposes the court decision to return that guy from where? Salvador. I think he's Salvadorian. So he was illegally deported. He had no criminal record, but nevertheless he's now in Salvadorian prison because they just took the guy because he got tattoos. I don't like this story, Then you live your normal life and you get deported, especially then he has a kid who was born in the United States, so he is like United States citizen already, and his wife is the United States citizen. It's crazy. Well, they say, like MAGA side says, that his wife complained about him raising hand on her, but later on they resolved this issue, so it wasn't the reason for him to be deported, just some family stuff. I don't like that stuff, but nevertheless they resolved it, so it's not the reason to deport the guy. So, and court, like the highest court, already told that it was a unlawful decision of Donald Trump. And then the Salvadorian president comes to Oval Office, not wearing the suit, by the way, like with a tie or something. He looked like some owner of the street bar, together with Donald Trump, and they say, "Oh, that guy is a terrorist or something." It's crazy. Actually, I wanted all of my life, like when I was a child, I admired aviation. I watched hundreds of the times probably the movie Top Gun, and United States was that country which was my dream, and the dream was to go and fly that fighter jet, in the United States Army. Even then I was a kid, I realized that in Ukraine it was not possible to fly because, the army was degrading. Our oligarchs and our presidents and everyone did everything for Ukraine not to be strong. So there was not enough kerosene for the training, not enough airplanes, not enough pilots. No one needed anything. It was after the Soviet Union collapsed and the country was barely living from the economy perspective. So I watched Top Gun, I want to fly, yeah. So it was my dream. And still it is my dream. But now I see that under Donald Trump I should never ever go there. Because I could be kidnapped on the street, because I would say something, maybe even in Ukrainian. And they'll pack me somewhere. They will send me to Salvador, even if I'll have the green card. It's crazy. F-14 is the beautiful jet. Yeah. I think Iran has that. Today I went just walking on the street in the city, and I saw Iran Air Office. I posted the joke that on my Telegram that they didn't take me, and guys, some of the guys really thought that I applied for Iran Air. Yeah, I saw that film. Also great. All the top F-14's aces are Iranian. Yeah, now that's the fact. Can Russia do it for 5 more years? Yeah, absolutely. It all depends on support. Like, we understand that 60% of the shells are now coming from North Korea. China supports Russia also a lot, so there are some of the countries which are willing to trade with Russia, and they trade. United States wants to leave the sanctions from Russia administration of the United States. So why not? If their economy is good, it could be 5 years. They still decline now, even with that support, but it's very slow. It's going down very, very slow. Sorry about my throat, maybe about my voice. I was thinking it's a joke. How do you feel about the Jews? I think I have some like Jewish relatives. Even though I passed like this DNA test with my heritage, we had like what integration with them. Then I really passed the DNA test, and they didn't find the Jew blood in me. But I know that my grandma, she's like Jew, grandma. So yeah. My attitude towards Jews as to the other people, like, I don't have any difference. Even for Russians, I don't like Russian regime. I don't like how Russians behave towards in Russia, that they're not on riots or something. But I cannot say that I hate Russians, because I would be Nazi in this case. So I cannot put like other nation ahead of my nation or lower than my nation. Otherwise, it's called Nazism. So no. Every nation is the same, as for me. Yeah, we have some connections in the history with some nation. As the Ukrainians, we have connections with Polish, we have connection with Russians, and that define our attitude. But if you check out every human being, like, there is no difference biologically. I mean, yeah, we have different races and so on, but even if you open every human after someone dies, organs are the same, the blood is red. What do you think of Israel? What do you think of Israel? I already told, I think, in my videos about Israel. I don't really like their prime minister. That's what I can tell. I think many Israelis, they don't like Netanyahu as well. Religion is the man-made structure, just words. Could be. No one knows. No one came from the other world telling us how it is really there. There are tons of the religions in the world. So, yeah, every religion has the right to be there. As well as there could be no religion. No one knows. But for me, I think, like, if you want to ask me, I think that there is someone, like the God, some people call him creator, the main programmer of the world. I think there is someone. But a religion, I don't know. Would the war end if Putin dies? That's the question. Some people say yes, some people say no. I believe that mostly yes. But if Russia would withdraw their forces from Ukraine, especially from Crimea, that's the big question. Probably no. If FSB elite is still in charge, if they have some of the internal clashes in Russia after Putin's death, that's the other story. And there comes the time for Ukrainian military solution. So Ukraine may attack Russians everywhere on its territory, and Russia would be busy with their internal fight. No one knows what it would be after Putin dies, but he will die someday. The sooner the better for everyone, even for Russians. What are your thoughts on Odin, Denys? Steve, I like this song of Manowar. You know, they sing about Odin. I really like that one. In the Ukrainian old beliefs, we also had like many gods, similar to Nordic gods, just different names probably. Legends are very similar. Our main god, I think, was Perun, the god of sun. What is your favorite genre of music? Now I listen to different stuff. Before I like heavy metal mostly, but now it depends on the mood. Mostly, yes, still heavy metal. But I can listen to other songs. Like for example, in Ukrainian singers, from Ukrainian singers, I have in my playlist the hard keys. It's pop, more pop, electro, rock style they have. They try to be like more heavy, but they haven't received so many views as for more pop style. So yeah, melodic sings with a female vocal, so it's great. What do you think of May 9th? It's the day in May. Day of the Russian crazy parade. Like we were fighting also with on the Soviet Union side, like our ancestors were fighting. My grandpa, and yeah. It's actually the good. It's not the Victory Day. The Victory Day is on May 8th, but Russia turned it into their, the tool for propaganda. That's why I don't really like the day any longer. Before it was the day in sorrow, even in the Soviet Union. Under Stalin, it was not a celebration. They launched the fireworks on May 9th, then the war was won. But later on, that day was day of sorrow. For Russia now, it's the victory crazy day. Do you still dislike Zelensky? No. I changed my mind. Dig out your Winnipeg Jets head then as they won their first playoff. Yeah, I don't have time to look for hockey now to watch it. But I have it, yeah, I have the head. It's good that they perform well. Do you think the Antonov 225 Maria will ever fly again? It's hard to say, but Michael, but I think no. Swinging away, Frenchman. David, greetings to French. By the way, I have this how can you call it? French rooster or French cock? French rooster, I guess. It's the French uniform, I think, Olympic or something. And how can it support Ukraine and run away like coward? Do you have any shame, Aiden? I can run away like a coward. Ukraine makes 40% of everything they need for the war. I think that alone is amazing compared to the... Yeah, like, I think roughly the recent figures were 30-30-30. So 30% Ukrainian, 30% comes from European partners, and 30% comes from United States of America. The rest, 10% from the other countries, not from EU and not from USA. What? Yeah, like sometimes I got asked the question why I left Ukraine. Yeah, I left it. It was my choice. Yeah, I think that it was maybe the bad choice. If I was in the military, I would stay, of course. But I don't have the military experience, and I'm here with my family. And honestly, yeah, I love my country, but I love my family more. So it was really the decision to secure my family, because if I go there on the front lines, yeah, if I went there on the front lines, I would be gone. But still, guys, I start to work with Ukrainian officials already, finally. We coordinate the efforts to fight our own informational war. So in a way, I think my content is useful for Ukraine, more useful than compared to me fighting on the front lines. I think so. I could be wrong, yeah. I'm not risking us, our guys. That's why I am not calling myself a patriot or something. Because if I was, I would go and fight and die or not die. No one knows. But I think I do a good job after all for Ukraine in general. That's why those Russian bots are always telling me to go and die. And guys, after all, I see, I complain a lot in my videos about the situation in Ukraine, but now I can see the improvement. There were no payments for Ukrainian warriors at some point. Then our guys got wounds, then our guys were losing their lives and the families were left without any compensation. But now this situation gets better. It is not like it was before. Then there was a wave of those cases. Now it's just very random cases. I see the switch from the government, and it is happening because I think we also raised the awareness, like influencers, especially in Ukrainian informational field, that something should be done. There should be a respect, and yeah, finally they managed to deal with it. As well as you might remember, we raised the awareness how Ukraine tried to conscript technicians who were trained to basically maintain the airplanes which Ukraine received from the Western partners or old Soviet airplanes, but still they are needed on the airfields, not on the front lines. They didn't have any kind of the military experience fighting with the Kalashnikov. Their goal is to, maintain airplanes, and some commander decided to mobilize them to the infantry fighting units. It's crazy, and we raised the awareness, and also, even Zilinski heard, and he said, no, we shouldn't do it, and finally, yeah, they were not, taken from their airfields to go to the trenches. Because it's crazy. Everyone should do its job. I understand that fighting in infantry, someone also needs to fight in the infantry, and I think it's the most difficult task. But if you're useful somewhere behind the front lines, if you have the education and training for it, why should you go there? who will do that job except you? Maintaining the airplanes, or I don't know, operating artillery systems or air defense. Who would shut down those Shahid drones? So yeah. Now luckily we are all, the problem that we can only change the situation with huge informational wave, like we should tell about it if something happens. But for the long time, like I'm checking the news, I don't see like huge violations, let's say, from our military and political command. That's why I also changed my attitude towards our government, not just because of the Trump, but because I see that they listen to society. Thank you for making news available. Yeah, thank you also for watching me, because guys, we have mostly viewers who are very respectful, elderly guys, mostly older than 55 years old. Why am I so... it's getting dark. Sorry. I don't know how can I change it. No. Contrast, maybe like this, maybe like this. Can I put everything on auto? Exposure also in auto. Apply. At least like that. Post-war plans could be covering the rebuild of your towns. It's not that interesting, this rebuild, Maybe some storytelling about great battles, like for example, the battle for Gostomel. I want to make even series maybe about it, like great battles of the war, because there are many. Battle for Kherson, battle for Kharkiv, battle for Liman, battle for Kupiansk, for Kiev in general, Sumi, Kharkiv, Gostomel, and many more. But then I made a video about how the war had started. It went not really well. Like I had less views than usual. Picture and sound is good. Yeah, luckily. I want to check the recent news, guys, because I'm not planning to make a video today, so maybe someone would watch the video. So yesterday, we have the update for yesterday. So before Russia announced the ceasefire, actually, so Russians actually moved near Nova village. Where is this direction? I'll check out later. Also, they move in turrets, and Zelensky, by the way, reported that our guys were trapped and encircled in turrets, and Russia used the ceasefire for performing that operation. During the ceasefire, then Ukrainian soldiers were not able to respond. The rest of the news. United States told that the General Secretary of the United States, not the secretary himself, not the Marco Rubio, but Secretariat. They say that they would agree on extension of the ceasefire. Yeah, obviously. So what else we have? Yeah, by the way, today Russia attacked a humanitarian transport which was used to evacuate people, not even soldiers, but evacuation vehicle for civilians. They attacked the vehicle. I shared this video on my Telegram. Greetings. The Battle of Severodonetsk was the battle that showed Ukraine would eventually, even though... Yeah, the Severodonetsk battle continued for a very, very long time. Also, the battle for Bakhmut. I think the battle for Bakhmut was not a good move for Ukraine, after all, because Ukraine decided to, protect this city with whatever cost, and many Ukrainians actually died there. And I think Ukraine learned its mistakes and didn't do the same in Avdiivka, for example. Then Ukraine just took the forces out, withdrawing them, but after it was understandable that Russia would propel forward even to Kurakhove. Inner dinosaur, greetings to UK. Bolt and Bankrupt made... I'm sorry. There's some stupid people here with loud exhaust. Bolt and Bankrupt people made a Ukraine video recently, showed how they bomb a bread line. How do you bomb bread line? I saw like Bolt and Bankrupt start to film videos again from Ukraine. Honestly, I don't really like this guy because he was praising the Russian culture. Even then the war had started, he stayed in Russia, and Russia kicked his ass out. And he told, I'm probably the one who is praising Russia here, and they kicked me out. Yeah, I don't really like the guy. I understand that his content and why he does it, but yeah. Denys, do you have any info about Russian armored train entering towards the front? David, I think like you, I just saw the video. I know the location, that's it. But somehow our drones managed to hit this train together with artillery. That's the only thing I know. It was abandoned even train, like crew left it. Yeah, and then went to China and did propaganda videos about how good is there. I see. Yeah, I would never go to China to tell how good is there. Actually, I went to China just once. There was some airline from Cambodia, and they have like financing from China, and they were hiring some of the pilots. They were looking for pilots. They proposed kind of the good salary, and I lost my job in Ukraine by the time, because we had lots of the pilot layoffs, and ATRs were returned to the mother airline, and I flown ATR. So I went to China for a screening, and they didn't take me, like this Cambodian airline. And I'm very happy because the airline didn't start flying even. They collapsed from the very beginning. So yeah, that's the first time I was in China, and actually the scale, it's impressive, I would say. I expected a different country, like it's really modern country. And I went to Xi'an, that's the city in the central part of China. And that city is built around constructing the airplanes. And it seems like all of the cities are working just on constructing the airplanes. The scale is huge. But, at the same time, they're unable to produce enough modern planes for themselves even. So, yeah. Without the Western technologies, China is still... Yeah, they have this, workforce. They have some of the technologies which they took from the other countries mostly. But still, in the United States, in the West, it's more like not full-scale production, but more logistic-style production. Like with less efforts, you can produce better quality of the product. If we speak about Airbus and Boeing airplanes. Why would he go to Japan? Never been there, but want to go to Japan. In China, I was just for business for a couple of days. I failed the interview. Actually, they didn't ask even technical questions. It was, tell us who you are. I told who am I. And then they say, okay. They call me, say that I didn't pass. Okay. Fine. This one we're gonna block. Cheers to Sweden. Do you know so the AI created commercial from Chinese with JD Vance and makeup? Oh yeah, I saw that meme. Yeah. Boeing or Airbus, would you like better? Airbus, of course. I'm European after all. And it's just way more comfortable, way more modern compared to Boeing. Boeing is like B-35 or something. It's a very ancient airplane compared to Airbus. Airbus is like a space shuttle compared to Boeing. If we speak about 737 in comparison to Airbus A320, but Boeing 787 is obviously a modern airplane, way more modern compared to Boeing 737. But still, I like Airbus more. I went to Toulouse factory several of the times where they produce Airbuses. I drank the wine there. Ate some delicious food in their cafe. So how would they say that Airbus is worse? I've flown Boeing, I understand that. Dennis, what is the most likely may this war ends? Be honest. I told on this channel, David, that I hope it will finish like Afghan war for Soviet Union. But it may only happen after Putin death or somehow Russian regime change. So till that time, Ukraine has no other choice than to not to surrender to Russians, like to continue to defend itself. Would you fly it? Go for... Yeah, of course. Any news update today? The deep state military map gives us the updates. The enemy went to Katerinovka and near Novopreobrazhenka and Sukha-Balka. So Russia advanced in 3 of the directions. I wonder why. Like, they announced the ceasefire at the same time they advanced. Yeah, the State Department said that they would be happy if the ceasefire extended after Sunday. Instead of tanks investment, Europe is shifting strategy, funding Ukraine's defense industry instead of just sending weapons. Good choice. A move to boost long-term production and avoid depending their own stocks. It's good. It's awesome. So Ukraine will have more self-produced weapons, like, for example, Bogdana. But some of the weapons you just still cannot produce in Ukraine. Zelensky. Easter update from Ukraine's top commander, General Syrskyi. By 4 p.m., Russia launched 46 assaults and 901 attacks. I wonder what's the difference between assaults and attacks, alright? 448 with heavy weapons, over 400 FPV drone strikes were recorded. Most active frontline spots are Pokrovsk. Yeah, is Pokrovsk. Putin's so-called ceasefire is a lie. Ukraine is ready for real peace. Russia is not. As expected. Other than that, there is no big news about the ceasefire. It will be ended tomorrow, I guess. And Russia would attack once again. Or maybe this night it will be ended. Despite United States saying that they want to extend the peace, but Putin will not extend it. Unfortunately. There is no, there is the weakening of the fire, not the ceasefire. The fire became weak, but still lots of the attacks. Less than usual, but still many. Alright guys, I wonder how many minutes are we on a stream. We have excellent connection, blah blah blah, but how many? 1 hour and 33. Maybe, or what? I think that's enough. I need to cook something for the dinner. And tomorrow evening I'm gonna film one more video, probably already with the result of so-called ceasefire. And yeah, sadly we're gonna see intensification of the fights alongside the front lines, unfortunately guys. For now, please don't forget to press the like to this video. By doing so, as always, you help me a lot. Sorry I cannot respond to every of your comments, but nevertheless, thank you so much for participation in our stream. Thank you so much also for supporting the channel with your super chat questions. I try to answer probably to everyone. And my plan is to make those live streams every Sunday. Yeah, every Sunday. Like I planned it before, but now I really want it to happen. Like I'm gonna film updates throughout the week, and on Sunday we're gonna make a live stream, maybe to review or recap of what was happening during the week and the outcomes for the future. Like we're gonna do this kind of stuff. So guys, you're awesome. I know you are, and I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.